We're here sitting with Trip Lee talking about his incredible album, Rise. And I wanted to get into a little bit more of the songs on the record. One of my favorites is Lazarus. And I kind of heard you talk a little bit about it. And you were thinking about that one, name that you wanted to do on your record. You could tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, one of the things I want to do in my music is think of catchy approaches to it, So there's sometimes songs where it'll just be like a name or concept that you just repeat over and over that people associate with it, and it makes it catchy and stick in people's minds. So I wanted to do a song like that with a name, and I was thinking, what kind of person can I have like that I'll be able to connect with stuff? And I thought Lazarus, because I felt like I've been risen from the dead. The album's called Rise. I think that would be dope. And so we did a song called Lazarus. The beat is aggressive.
Yeah, it's hard. I love it.
And all throughout the song, just talking about being raised from the dead and taking kind of a playful approach to that. So I think it's a fun one. Yeah.
You have a song called All My Love, and that song is very, very deep. You're talking about a husband who's cheating on his wife, and then come to find out he's cheating with pornography. Can you tell us a little bit about that, the inspiration behind it, and just kind of how real that is?
Yeah, I mean, the inspiration behind the song is porn is a very real issue in the lives of a lot of men and women, and so it's something that people don't really like to talk about a lot. It's a little awkward to talk about, you know what I'm saying? People don't really want to talk about it, but the reason I think it is very important to think and talk about it is because it's important for us to think about the way that objectifies the people that we're looking at on the screen, the terrible things about that industry, and how successful and lucrative that industry is. And I think it's important to think about, especially for men who are married, or even women who are married, who struggle in this area, to understand, Jesus said, yeah, you've heard that adultery is wrong. But I say, when a man looks upon a woman with lust, he's committed adultery in his heart. And so it's clear, and I understand it to be unfaithfulness. In other words, I wanted to do a song about a man, and I like telling stories that have a twist to them. So as you listen to the song, first you think he just met a woman online and he fell in love. Then you find out he's married and he's actually cheating on his wife. And then by the end of the song, you're kind of getting the idea that, wait, I mean, the woman he's seen and looks at online is actually pornography. And I think that's a song that'll connect with a lot of folks, and I hope that it shakes some folks up and challenges them to think about their online habits. And I talk about that in the book some too, and I think it's a good conversation to continue to have.
Yeah, now that you mentioned the book, I'm sorry, we're talking so heavily about the album, but the book is incredible. I just kind of got through a couple of the chapters, but I know that the book, the book, you're elaborating on most of the stuff that you're talking about in the record. There's a theme too in the book. You said get up and live, right? And that's kind of the theme of the record as well. What does that mean?
Yeah, I mean, in the book, I talk about, it's aimed specifically at younger folks. In the first chapter, it's called 7 a.m. Logic, and I talk about how I think all of us can relate. Like if you look on my iPhone, it's like 9,000 alarms every morning because I know I'm not going to get up on the first one, the second one, or the third one. You can just always convince yourself to stay in bed a little bit longer, and that's kind of how we approach life. Is oh, well, I'll really live, but I'm gonna wait till I'm 25, I'm gonna wait till I'm 30, I'm gonna wait till I'm 40, wait till I'm 50. And what I want to say is, no. I want you to get up and live right now. We've been created for something. Let's live that way now. So that's kind of the theme of the book, and then I just kind of trace that out in the different areas of our lives.
I wanted to touch on that a little bit because live, people, especially this day and age, live can mean like go all out, go to the clubs, turn up to like in the worst degree possible. What does it, you said live into your God, given like,
I want us to live the way we were made to live.
Yeah,
so
made to live.
I think in our minds, we think sometimes that living the good life or living the best life is wilding out, partying, even have a chapter in there about marriage, being with as many different people as we can. And sometimes these are the ideas that we have, and I want to encourage us to think, no, this is actually how we were made to live, and there's actually more joy to be found in the way that we were made to live, the way that we were created to. And so I want to push people in that direction, which is really hard when we're young. So I write this understanding as a young dude that as a young person, it's hard to live the way we were made to live. So many different distractions. And the reason I think the book can be powerful is because I'm not a 60-year-old man trying to say this. this. You know, we're peers, and from a peer to another peer, also understanding how difficult it is to live the way we were made to live, I want to encourage you to. I'll talk about some stories from my own life, try to pull on biblical wisdom, and I hope it's helpful for folks.
It's great. I mean, so far what I've read is just, it's very personable. It's like a conversation.
I appreciate that. That's what I was going for. My first book, The Good Life, kind of the feedback that I appreciated most was people saying, I don't even like to read, and I enjoyed this book. It spoke to me.
I'd be one of those.
Well, that's the way I want to write it. You know, I don't want to write something that's going over people's heads. I don't want to write something that seems like judgmental, self-righteous. I don't want to write something that doesn't engage you and that you don't enjoy. You know, I don't want it to be like taking a pill, like, I don't enjoy it, but it's good for me. I want you to actually be able to enjoy it, but to also encourage you.
That's awesome. So, in the album, you ended you end it with a track called "Sweet Victory," not "Sweet Victory," "Sweet Victory." And there's a line where you say, "I feel thorns where my crown was." And I know you've been talking more openly about a health issue that you struggle with, chronic fatigue syndrome.
Chronic fatigue syndrome.
You know, it made me think. I'm like, wow, you know, there's probably so many people that struggle with that, because I hear things like this, you know, about those type of struggles, but I didn't know it was an actual thing. Do you think that like, is that the thorn in your flesh that?
So when I read like a passage like where Paul talks about the thorn in his flesh, and we don't know exactly what that thorn is from what we see in Scripture, but Paul talks about it as something God gave him to keep him from becoming conceited because of the amazing things that God had allowed him to do, basically, and that it helped him to see that when he's weak, God is strong. And so I think in that sense, it's something that God has given me that's shown me my weakness. You know, to finish a book, to finish an album, everything I do, I feel like I'm just barely like limping to the finish line. I'm barely making it. But what it makes really clear to me is that anything that happens because of these things isn't because of my strength. It also helps me to rest in God. He's strong. And so, and I talk about this in the book as well, and in that song. We can embrace our weakness. We can be clear and honest about our weakness, but in that song, I want to point to the hope that we have kind of in the midst of that weakness.
It's an incredible song.
I don't want people to assume just because they see me and they like my music and they see me on stage and my life is just all amazing. There are difficult things that I wrestle through too, but in the midst of that, there's a hope that I look forward to.
Amen. That's great. And one final question. I know you asked for prayer on balancing being an artist and being a pastor. What does that, like, what are the struggles for you? I mean, you're also like a father and a husband. And, you know, you're struggling, you're 26 years old and you're struggling with a health issue. And, what does that look like? You know, I, for one, definitely will pray for you in that sense. But, you know, for those people that, you don't want to know exactly like what the struggle is, and you know what, I commend you for doing both, and it's a beautiful thing. But how can it be hard to balance as a pastor and an artist? Well,
as you know, all of us only have so many hours in a day. I have less because I have less energy, so I always have to think about, you know, I think about my time almost like it's money that I have, and I want to invest it the best way that I can. You know, I want to spend it on stuff I'm going to get a good return on my investment. You know, if it's a business I know is going down, I'm not going to throw all my money into it. I don't want to spend all my time on stuff that is not going to last. You know what I'm saying? And so, as I'm thinking about my life as a pastor, as a husband and father, and as an artist, I want to think about how to balance my time, the short amount of time I have, to use it the best I can. I only got so much life. I only got so much time, so I want to use it well. And so I also want to do it in a way where I'm faithful to my wife and my kids, and I'm faithful to the church that I serve, and so those are balance things I always have to think about, not overloading myself, and how to find a balance that's sustainable, that works for me and my family. And that's stuff I'm always working through and trying to grow at. And so that's what some people are like, oh, what's Tripp doing? Is he still doing music? Is he still doing this? And the answer is I'm trying to figure out in some ways. But right now, yes, I am still doing music. And this record's coming out that I'm very, very excited about. And I hope people are encouraged by it.
And honestly, I gotta say, just you being so open about it just shows your humility, and not to puff you up about it, but just it shows your heart, you know. And I think that is encouraging, and that is it's someone to model after, someone who not pretending to have the answers.
Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Yeah.
So guys, the album, the book, they're out now. Triply, we want to thank you on behalf of BREATHeCast for being on BC Pulse.
Thank you for having me.
Make sure you get a copy. It is incredible. The book is awesome so far, and the album is absolutely incredible. So make sure you get that. Take care. It's Jeannie Ortega. BREATHeCast.